This year's 2-mallet keyboard etude is from the Goldenberg mallet book. It is etude number 7 on page 66. It's a combination of 8th notes and 16th notes. There's a few short roll combinations throughout and many octaves. There's a few dynamic markings also. It's a pretty basic etude. The new version of the Goldenberg book that recently came out has a lot of dynamic markings written in and also some stickings. You have a choice to use the stickings written in, or you may pick your own. Whatever you do, choose those patterns early on and stick with them. This etude is in A major. I suggest that you use some scale patterns to warm up before you play this piece, and every time you go to practice it, do some scale patterns that include the A major and possibly E major also. They do have a lot of D sharps throughout this etude, so you could play some scale patterns such as this, starting on E, and you could also do one starting on A. And just practice those scale patterns as well as some arpeggios. So this piece is written for the marimba. If you have a choice, be sure to practice on the instrument that you'll be using the day of the contest. If you're using a rosewood instrument, I suggest a medium to medium hard mallet. I'm using a Vic Firth 223 right now, a Ne Rosario with rattan handles. The range of this etude is from A up to E, so you want to make sure that the mallets speak in all sections of the marimba. If you're using a keyline instrument, which is acceptable, be sure to check the mallets for that particular instrument. You might want a more dense core for that particular instrument. When practicing this etude, choose your playing spot carefully. I tried throughout this etude to play primarily in the center of the accidental bars, or close to the center of the accidental bars. There are occasions when it's okay and acceptable, in my opinion, to play on the edge of the accidental bars, but do try at most times to get to the center of that bar. Let's talk about sticking for this etude. This version of the Goldenberg book has stickings written in. There are a couple of choices in a few of the passages. If you go back and look at me practicing and listen and watch me practicing this etude slowly, you can pick up the sticking that I'm using. I do use most of the sticking written in this etude and a couple of the options that are also written in. Listen carefully while you're practicing this etude. I suggest you record yourself. There are a few unusual harmonies here and there throughout the piece. You want to make sure that you're being accurate all the time. Right from the beginning of your practice sessions, use your metronome. Practice slowly, take your time, phrase by phrase. Take your time and do maybe 4 or 8 measures at a time. Work out the phrases throughout the piece. Increase that tempo slowly, just a little click at a time. You want to make sure as it gets faster that you're still playing accurate, you can include the dynamics, and your playing spot is still a good sound. So the tempo marked for this etude is quarter note equals 126 up to 134. It's very appropriate for you to play it at 126. If you can play it completely accurate with all the dynamics at 126, that's much more acceptable than playing it at 134 and missing notes and not getting the dynamics in. Each of the rolls in this piece are quarter note rolls, but remember they go by pretty quickly, especially at 134. I'm putting in about 4 strokes per roll. You don't really need to connect them. They're separated quarter notes. Be sure not to get behind during the rolls. So as you can see, you don't have a lot of time between the notes from the roll and then into the next passage. Be sure to use your metronome and stay right in time. In the 6th and 7th line, there are 2 measures that are quite tricky. I suggest that you really start slowly with these measures, memorize these 2 measures, and really develop some good muscle memory so that you don't even have to worry about it an ounce when you get to the audition. There are a lot of nice dynamic markings in this revised edition of the Goldenberg book. Be sure to practice those dynamics from the very beginning so that your muscles understand and will memorize what it feels like to play the passage forte and the next passage piano, whether it's at 90 beats per minute or 134 beats per minute. The dynamic range in this piece is from forte all the way down to piano. Be sure to stay within those dynamics and be consistent so that your forte at the beginning is similar to the forte later in the piece. Make it very musical. It's a nice musical etude. You don't need to overplay it. Stay within really beautiful sounds and make music with this etude. If at all possible, take the instrument that you've been practicing on to the audition so that you're very comfortable when you get there. Remember when you get to the audition to stick with what you've been practicing. Take your metronome with you as you're warming up. Don't be concerned with other people that might be practicing this etude at 140 or playing it at 140 at the audition. If you've practiced it at 134, stick with that because that's how you're going to play it the best. So practice consistently, be thorough, take your time and use your metronome, and good luck at your audition.